say for instance, he takes like a red shirt and he sits out and just says, "Hey, let me train track and field and get in shape, track and field, train with the best coaches out in Florida, great weather, great conditions, great training group, and actually get down to the nitty gritty." He reminds me of a Christian Coleman who does give
Mhm.
Noah Lyles a run for his money in the 60.
Mhm.
So if you take that attitude, that ego of a Tyreek Hill with the get it out the mud mentality that he has, and you put that towards track and field, I feel like he gives him a run for his money. I feel like he wins.
Going on, everybody? Your boy JT here. I got Dub here with me, and today we got some special guests. So, Dub, if you could introduce who we have online with us today.
Absolutely. We have some very special guests that are very near and dear to me. They're actually some of my old teammates from my collegiate track and field days. So, as you all have seen us through various recordings, JT and I were both collegiate athletes. JT played football, I think, at the D2 level, if I'm not mistaken. I did track and field at the D1 level, right? So, there's a little bit of knowledge that we have around sports. And so, this particular topic that we're going to talk about with Tyreek Hill and Noah Lyles, I figured that I wanted to bring in some heavy artillery to share their viewpoint on Tyreek Hill's time of 10.15. So I have here in the bottom left-hand corner my old teammate Dan Freeman. Dan Freeman, he holds UNC Charlotte's javelin record with a distance of 215 feet 4 inches. So that record is actually 11 years old. So,
Wow.
Dan, that's a pretty significant
You're
mark.
aging me.
Um,
Shout
uh,
out, Dan.
Actually watched him do it live. Got hyped for him when he did it. Very exciting experience. So Dan is the jab man. And then in the bottom right hand corner under JT, this is actually my blood sister. We're on the track team at the same time. We got Flo Joe here. She won the 2012 indoor 60-meter championship for conference. Was it the Atlantic 10 or it was Conference USA?
I think it was Conference USA.
USA
Then.
and A10.
Yeah,
Okay.
and A10, and then she was runner up in the 100-meter dash in 2012 for Conference USA. So we got some credentials here, guys. These are people that were in the sport, competed at the high level. Everyone here on this screen, excluding JT, because he didn't do track and field in college, at least made it to the NCAA regionals, which you got to be top 50 in each region to make it. So we got the credentials. So I feel like we can talk about it. JT, I'm gonna turn it back to you.
For sure. So, listen, we see it online. It's been a lot of chatter between Tyreek Hill, Noah Lyles. For the younger group, when it comes to the streaming, I show speed, and they really believe this guy's like lights out fast. I'm questioning it. I don't know, but sticking with Noah Lyles and Tyreek Hill, a lot of back and forth. Hopefully, we'll be getting a race soon as the track and field sport gets even more attention than it already has. But a 10.15. So I saw Tyreek Hill ran this 10.15. I had to tap in with the track experts to understand how do y'all rate this. Again, Tyreek Hill is in football shape, football size. I'm sure he would cut weight if he was focusing on track and field. So, Joe or Dub, can y'all just give us a little perspective on how y'all feel about that 10.15 and how that would compare? Because I've seen some times from high school students in Texas that are like in the nines. And I'm like, okay, I already know it's in the food, but I got to hear from y'all. How does that 10.15 stack up to what you're seeing across the track landscape today?
I'll be brief and then I'll give it to Joanne. Those nines that you're seeing from these high school athletes are anomalies. These kids, I don't know what's in the water. I don't know what's in the food, but they are running world class times. If you stack them up amongst all athletes in the entire world, they're ranked in the top 10. Like, you're running nines in high school, that's pretty insane. So I guess it's just the evolution of technology, the training style, and then most of these kids are just God gifted. They're just gifted athletes. But to touch on Hill's 10.15, that is world class speed, people. That is world class speed. And if you ever seen anything under a 10-3 in person in live, it is extremely fast. The race is like a blur. It happens very quickly. And so I've seen a few of our peers that don't know much about track. They know about football and other sports that don't know about track and say that time is not elite. People, that is an elite time. Tyreek Hill weighs like 205, 210 pounds. He's like 31 and he's running a 10-1-5 and he looked very comfortable doing it. So for me, I can see him running maybe like a 10 low, 9-9 high. But I don't want to really dive into the mechanics and everything of it. I'm gonna turn it over to Joanne because she's was actually a sprinter. She ran short distance, the 1-2 long jump, so she can be able to give a little bit more context about what she thinks about the 10-1.
Yeah. Yeah, thanks, Dub. So yeah, the 10.15 is that's elite if you look at it. So I was watching back some film just recently of Noah Lyles and just looking at the mechanics there. So Tyreek Hill is a football player. He is not a track and field athlete. So like you mentioned, he does not train for this. So putting in perspective, if he does decide, hey, let me take this seriously and let me go ahead and train for this. You have the weight room, you have the weight that he's going to cut. You also have the block start that he's going to work on. You have that first 10 meters, something that Noah Lyles lacks in. He lacks in that first 10 meters of his races. So the 200 is great for him because he's able to make the mistakes and be able to come back. And his top end speed is out of this world. So whenever he's able to get out that drive phase, stand up, get those knees up under him, and get down the track, he's untouchable. So say for instance, Tyreek Hill. So in that 10.15, what I noticed, breaking it down, block start, it could be better. But when we get down the track, one thing that he does, he stands up and his arms are extremely low. So he's not pocket to cheek with his form. He's tight because he's a football player. So he runs with a football. So he's running in that manner down the track. So imagine him working on his upper body strength and actually working on the form, the pocket to cheek, the pocket to cheek, being able to get down the track using that form in a manner that is more powerful and being able to get out on Noah Lyles in that first 10 meters. I would say it would be a good race. I could say that Noah would probably still beat him because this is what he does professionally. But Tyreek Hill, I feel like he would give him just a little run for his money. I think he would shock us a little bit. So that 10, you say 10, I would probably give him about a 9-8. I'll probably give him a 9-8 if he
Oh, wow.
trains for it. I give him a 9-8.
So
Yeah,
so
because
just to get some perspective from you, Joe,
yeah.
Tyreek Hill being a football player, we talked about Noah Lyles and kind of not having a great start. What is
Mhm.
that optimum distance where he's got the best opportunity to beat Noah Lyles? Is it a 40-yard dash? Is it 60 meters? Where do you think is his best opportunity to try to beat him in a race?
To be fair, over 100 meters, Noah's going to get him. Why? Because that top end speed, he's trained for it. So he's a 400-meter runner. And
Mm.
if you can master that 400, which he does, you should be able to run anything under that. He can run anything from the 8 down if you look at Noah Lyles. His body, the way that he's structured, his form, he trains to be able to run anything from the 8 down. But his sweet spot is the 200 meters. I would say for Tyreek Hill to be able to beat him or for it to be an interesting race, the 40 is what football players do. The 100 is what we do. I say 60 meters, 55, 60 meters.
Okay.
I think that would be the race right there.
Okay. Dan, any thoughts on it from you? You know, again, I know you threw the javelin, but again, having the expertise, how do you feel about this potential competition and where do you see this falling?
JT, I want to start off by saying my coach thought I was slow in college when I was a freshman, so he made me train with the sprinters for 2 years. And I think that second year was with Joe, and I was doing all those workouts. I was doing those 100s, those 200s, those 250s. We were doing the drills up and down that track. So I spent some time around some fast people those first 2 years. But I want to look at the data, and I think the reason people are confused is they're looking at the prelims at NCAA's, that 10-1-5 would have come in 11th.
Hmm.
And when people look at that and they're like, 11th, that's not fast. But those times, as Carrick was talking about earlier, those are not collegiate time. Those are professional times. And when you look at finals of that meet, he would have come in 5th. Now, 11th versus 5th is a big difference. But I think the thing that's interesting to me, and I still compete. I competed a few months ago, and the thing I think about is, I'm 33, right? He's 31, and not only is a 10-1-5 fast, but he's also 31. His body's not going to respond the same way that these 22 to 24 or 18 to 24-year-olds, it's not going to respond the same way. So the fact that he's going through a whole football season, right, which the wear and tear on your body, and then it's not going to take a few months to recover. It's going to take a long time, and he probably hasn't taken too much of a break. So for him to come out, it's not like he peaked either, right? You got to think about that. You think he peaked for that meet? Like he was fresh for that. You got to imagine if he's going to peak at that meet, what could he have run? And then as JoJo said, like if he was training specifically, how much faster could he have run without anything else? Just those two factors. So, I think that's the really impressive feat, and I think people get confused looking at those prelim numbers, but it's all relative, right?
Yeah.
Like these kids running right now are fast. Yeah. They throw far, they run fast, they jump high.
I've never seen times like this. I've never seen times like this at the collegiate level, the high school level. It is a good time to be a track fan right now because there are some crazy times and distances too, like throws out of this world. It's been a pleasure to watch.
For sure. So we all got to make a pick. 60 meters. Let's go around the room. Dub, who you got?
Oh man, this is tough because Dan made a few good points about peaking, and really has he had enough time to fully recover from the football season? And then Joanne made a good point about Noah Lyles and kind of his one of his deficiencies, which is his star, but his top end speed is just remarkable, out of this world. And then she mentioned the mechanics about Tyreek Hill, and he runs as if he's like playing football, but there's two different type of techniques you utilize as a sprinter as opposed to being a football player. I'm gonna have to go Noah Lyles. I just think the competitive nature in him won't allow a football player to beat him, and I just think there's just been so much. He's bringing a good buzz to the sport. People all like they're really questioning his antics, but I think it's really good what he's doing because he's bringing a lot of focus and attention to track. And track is very interesting. If you ever went to a track meet, a professional track meet, don't go to a high school meet or AAU meet because you'll be outside all day. Go to a professional meet or a collegiate meet, and you're going to really have a good appreciation for what you're seeing out there. All the hard work, all the prep that goes into it, you just don't understand what goes into it behind the scenes. So I'm gonna have to go with Noah Lyles.
Okay, Dan, who you got?
I would pay to see them do a 40 or a 60, but I think I agree with Carrick. I watched I forget what the track and field documentary name is that was on Netflix, but I watched that, and he's got that personality, and to be the best, you have to be able to turn it on. And I think he'd probably turn it on and do something we wouldn't even expect.
Okay. JoJo?
I'm gonna have to go opposite. I'm gonna go Tyreek Hill. And the reason I say Tyreek Hill is because his personality is the same. So he likes to be the best at everything that he does. If you watch his workout videos online, he's very, very intense. He takes very good care of himself. So I feel like if he were to, say for instance, he takes like a red shirt and he sits out and just says, hey, let me train track and field and get in shape, track and field, train with the best coaches out in Florida, great weather, great conditions, great training group, and actually get down to the nitty gritty, He reminds me of a Christian Coleman who does give
Mhm.
Noah Lyles a run for his money in the 60.
Mhm.
So if you take that attitude, that ego of a Tyreek Hill with the get it out the mud mentality that he has, and you put that towards track and field, I feel like he gives him a run for his money. I feel like he wins.
Yeah. Yeah, I gotta follow you up. I got Tyreek Hill. I mean, end of the day, I think again though, I like what Noah Lyles is doing for the sport. He can be a little corny at times. We gotta be real. Like, dissing the NBA players. That whole spill. I don't know what was up with that. Like, okay, calm down, buddy. But he's a top athlete in his sport, so he deserves to talk his talk. But I gotta go Tyreek Hill. He's just a dog. I feel like again, a lot of great points were made. I didn't even think about the whole, mechanics of running with a football versus like what is it? Waist to cheek to waist,
Cheat the pocket,
cheek to
pocket
pocket.
to cheat it.
Again, I stopped running track in middle school, so the cheek to pocket thing. Hey, listen, I didn't even think about that. That gives my boy a whole nother advantage. I gotta go with Tyreek Hill, and I think mentally, I think he already inside of Noah Lyles' head, right? Because you're the best in the world, 100 and 200. I was rooting for Kashane from Jamaica. I'm not gonna even lie,
Yeah.
and I thought he was going. I thought he won until I saw the playback. What have you? But you the best in the 100 and the 200, and you even having a conversation with an NFL guy. To me, Tyreek already in his head. I got Tyreek Hill winning the 60. Hopefully, we see that soon.